Hello, welcome back to Club T90. We're going to talk about Game Week 2 this week. I know this video is coming out a bit later than when I would have liked it to come out, so I apologize for that. I know I'm recording this on the 19th of August. Game Week 3 starts tomorrow, basically. So, sorry about that. I have a lot on my plate trying to get things out of the way. So once again, bear with me. Where there were 10 games again this game week. 6 on Saturday, a couple on Sunday, and then the final one, which was Liverpool versus Crystal Palace, that was on Sunday. We won't be talking about all of the games, but we will be talking about most of them. The most interesting ones, of course, were the Man United game, losing 4-0 to Brentford away. And, of course, the biggest game of the season so far, Chelsea versus Spurs, which was just chef's kiss. That was so good. That was such a great game. That was such a good advertisement for the Premier League and what it can display at its finest. So much drama, so many goals. Just freaking loved it. That was my favorite game of the season so far. So doing the Brazil jersey today, Casemiro just joined Man United for 60 milli. For 60 milli, he is leaving arguably the best team in the world and joining arguably the worst team in the world. But hey, I mean, he wants to willingly come to United. I'm not gonna say anything negative about that. Welcome to United. So, we're gonna have, I assume we're going to have this, Brazilian midfield going on with Casemiro and Fred in the middle of the pitch. I'm really excited to see what that brings. We have sort of like that spine, the Real Madrid spine. If Varane plays, we'll have that, Varane, Casemiro, and Ronaldo. It's funny, we're getting these top players from Real Madrid way past their prime. It's a sad time to be a United fan. But I digress. So where do we start? We can start straight from the bat. We can start with Man City Bournemouth. Man City 4-0 winners. Pretty much it was a rout from the get-go. It's funny because Haaland had a few good chances, but overall he had a terrible game. He had 8 touches in total. 2 of them were passes, and one of them was assist to Gundogan. And yeah, he didn't have the best of games, and there were so many people that captained him for this game week. And rightly so. He had a killer game week on the first game week. So, I mean, I don't blame these people. I almost brought him in. I almost took a -2 and brought him in. But I'm glad I did not. So now I have 2 subs for game week 3. I only made 1, which was Pedro Neto for... Who's the player? I took out Pedro Neto and I brought in Martin Odegaard, right? Because I feel like so many people have Martinelli, and I know he's the goal scorer, but the playmaker in that team is Odegaard. So screw it. I had 6.5. He's 6.5. And I just went for Odegaard. So Man City Bournemouth. Haaland had a tap in, pretty much. If Foden had passed that ball to him, I wrote down on my notes how there might be like this ego play between Haaland and Foden now. Now that, because Haaland just comes out of nowhere and he's deemed the main man now. Whereas Foden was deemed, the uprising, the upcoming star, player of the year for the last so ever many years, young player of the year in the EPL. And all of a sudden Haaland comes in out of nowhere and he's getting all this attention good or bad. But yeah, I feel like that's a good reason why Foden didn't pass it to Haaland. But yeah, I remember him like, what the heck? Like, why aren't you passing that ball to me? Should have passed it. Easy tap in for Haaland. Could have been easy 1-0 there, but did not. But Foden did score towards the end of the game. Beautiful assist from De Bruyne. Man City was 4-0 winners in that game. Haaland had the assist to Gundogan, 8 touches, 2 passes, and there was the goal from KDB. Oh, Pogba, as they say. Little shimmy, drop of the shoulder outside of the boot. Like there was no time for the keeper to react, no time for the defender to react. It just happened in one fluid motion. It was so good. It was so sublime, as they say. This man's in form. What a goal! Goes outside of the foot. B90, bottom 90. What a goal! Can't wait to see what De Bruyne achieves this season. Is if he stays fit, he could be influential once again, as he normally is. Second game, we're gonna talk about Arsenal and Leicester. Arsenal 4-2 winners against Leicester. Um, Leicester did not have any signings this season. Schmeichel went away, and which was surprising. But the the news from their club is that they're basically trying to balance out the books, right? So allegedly, and that's why they had Schmeichel leave. Could be a difficult season for them. They haven't really had any signings come in this season. Schmeichel left, and it was all just Jesus show. The Jesus show, just killed it. The first goal was a chip from him, tight space, somehow gets the ball in front of his foot, just chips it, far corner, no chance keeper. Once again, like I said, this kid is playing with a chip on the shoulder. And he's proving game by game. I also feel like he's a must-have on the team. But if you're playing FPL, like, just don't even think about it. Just it's a blind pick. Just pick him, forget about him. He's gonna bring you points. What a goal! What a goal from Jesus! What a performance from Jesus! 2 goals, 2 assists from this kid. Absolutely killing it. I think there was a press conference towards the end of the game, and then Arteta was saying, "Oh yeah, like he was disappointed after the game. He wanted that assist. He wanted that hat trick." And that's what top players do. That's what top players do. That's the mentality that's going to take him, I want to say, straight into the Brazil team. Right now, as a forward, I don't see any other standout Brazilians right now in the Brazil team. Before the World Cup, if he stays fit, he's going to slot right in. I think he's going to have a wonderful season ahead of him. He scores a second goal. I think it was a flick on from Vardy in the front post. He's in the back post. Right player, right time, right position. Easy header, easy goal. Almost got a hat trick a minute later, but I mean he had the assist, right? Xhaka and Martinelli with the 2 other goals, and Leicester almost came back with 2 goals of their own. One of them was an own goal from Saliba, and the other one was a neatly placed finish from James Maddison. 4-2, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Moving on, Brentford 4-0, Manchester United. The less said, the better. I feel like this could be Manchester United could have a really bad season. This could be one of their worst seasons they've had in recent times. And I was watching Monday Night Football, and Gary Neville was saying he had changed his mind before the first game week, and just after the second game week, and he was saying, like, yeah, before the first game week, I had placed United in the top 6 maybe, and now he thinks after this loss against Brentford, he reckons United could be the second half of the table, almost battling relegation. That's what he said. So it's great news that Casemiro is coming in. I'm really surprised, and I genuinely feel United won't be relegated this season just from that one signing alone. Really excited, really happy for that. Good move. But that 4-0 game, it's just shambolic. It was shambolic at its worst. I don't know where to start. United was, I don't know who the, I think it was Neville. He was commentating, and he was saying, yeah, but Ten Hag is doing this weird, like he's splitting the center backs apart, like the old Barca tiki taka style, and they had a howler, man. They had an absolute howler. Both goals, the first two goals were entirely on the hair. The first one, I don't know what to say about the first one. The second one, he plays Ericsson, who's playing way deep, and he's trying to ping the ball first try, first attempt, and he passes. I don't know why he passes it to him. He did come later in his post match press conference, and he was like, I should have read that situation better. I should have understood. Should not have given that pass to him. It was a bad day. He owned up to it. I just don't know. I don't know why Ericsson was coming in so deep and trying to get that pass away. They had tried that like a minute earlier before Ericsson gave that ball away. What pressing, man. Pressing from Brentford was just top notch. Um, Nothing to say. Nothing to say. I was really, really surprised they lost to Brentford by that margin, honestly. United is in trouble. That's all I can say. United is in trouble. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, United should really sell De Gea, man. Like, I think he's past his prime, da da da. And I sort of get that argument, but it's also like United, De Gea has arguably been through the thick and thin. He's been through the worst. He's been through arguably the best part of United since he came here. And I mean, just last season, I mean, the last, I want to say 2 or 3 seasons straight, he's been one of the best players of the team. Last season, it was between him and Ronaldo. That's it, period, straight up. So, I mean, I know he has these really bad, just awful, awful games where he just looks like a championship caliber goalkeeper. Not even, like, he just looks like an amateur. But he saves us, man. He has saved us time and time again. So I'm not, I'm on the fence. Not even on the fence. I don't think De Gea should be sold. I think, he's okay. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But then, you see Dean Henderson leaving United. You see his interviews, and he's talking about, I didn't want to wait for Ten Hag to come into the club and the new manager to come see me play, because I knew if he did see me play, he was going to keep me. He was not going to let me go. And I needed to make that move. And, power to him. Like, he wants that England top spot. Jordan Pickford is not good. If Dean Henderson has a good season, which I feel like he will, he could get that in England top spot. He could be English number one choice keeper for this World Cup. So I'm excited for him. He was saying how, last season was a terrible decision. I was pretty much on the bench. Not even playing second fiddle to De Gea. He was just on the bench. He just wasted a whole year. And he really regretted that. And so, all power to him. Really, really, I respect that kid so much. Go out and do your thing, man. Like, no one's stopping you. But that dichotomy of, like, you see Dean Henderson saving a penalty from Declan Rice, and then you see David De Gea with that, whatever the heck you want to call it. And you wonder, well, maybe we should have let De Gea go on loan to Nottingham Forest and not Dean Henderson. But it is what it is. Speaking of Forest, Nottingham Forest 1, West Ham United 0. This was the first game of Sunday. Just awesome game to start off Sunday. If you watched it live, you just know the energy was just top notch. Loved it. There was a blistering tempo start to finish, and the blistering heat too. Like, England's going through some rough patch in terms of weather. So when you see these players go onto the pitch and give their best. You just you just love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Championship Young Player of the Year Brennan Johnson started for Nottingham Forest. West Ham again with an unchanged back four. The only change they had was Benarama replaced Lanzini. Antonio returned against his former team, Nottingham Forest. He had a season. He had a long season with Nottingham Forest, which pretty much propelled him to the Premier League. He said, like, before the interview, before the game, like, oh, if I scored against Nottingham Forest, I'm not gonna celebrate. Respect to him. Interesting fact here. So owner, his name is Evangelos Marinakis, right? Evangelos Marinakis, newly promoted Nottingham Forest. They have signed almost 15 players so far this season, worth almost £143.5 million just this transfer window. They're spending like prime Man City right now, which is but it's also what they lost like 15 players or something like that before the start of the season. They lost their captain, they lost their vice captain, so they have this whole rebuilding structure thing going on. But Jesus Christ, man, 143.5 million for a newly promoted Premiership side, Premier League side from the Championship. Yeah, I mean, think of it as you will, but I mean, they have some really good players, man. They have some really, really freaking good players. Nico Williams was playing right back. During the game, he was just putting that ball in to their forward strikers. This Nigerian forward, Ioni, that's his name, right? Ioni, yeah, man, he looks dangerous. He looks he looks built. Scored that goal, of course. 23 years since Nottingham Forest was last in the Premier League and scored a goal or had a win. So it's been a long time coming for Forest. Scrappy goal. Lingard had tried to do us like a side footer, missed it, hit the defender's leg, hit Ioni's knee, went in. It was a scrappy goal, but they will not care. And then before that, West Ham had a goal chalked off, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The play just stopped because Antonio pretty much just came in like a freight train and just took out took out Mangala. And also, I mean, in my opinion, of course, this was an accidental collision. Referee was called to the VAR, to the monitor, to judge it. Goal was scored by, I think it was Benarama. Benrahma scored the goal. They're celebrating. Everything's good. The referee gets called to the monitor, and referee chalks it off because he thinks it's an intentional foul, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Because I mean, he was trying to move away, but he couldn't, and they just accidental collision. It is what it is, but it was the funniest thing I'd seen in a while. And then of course, Forrest scores the goal. West Ham almost scored the equalizer through this penalty. Who was this? It was Scott McKenna with a blatant like Luis Suarez-esque handball on the line. I'm surprised he doesn't get a red card for that. Gets a yellow. Steps up Declan Rice, steps up Dean Henderson. I'm sure they know each other from their England camps. They've played each other countless times. I know they're they must be friends, and I think it was like telegraphed way too easily for Henderson to save. It wasn't even in the bottom corner. It was a good penalty, but it was in the bottom corner, and just Henderson just saved it easy money. And yeah, I think the man of the match performance went to the English midfielder from Nottingham Forest. His name is Lewis O'Brien. His stats were ridiculous. I forgot his stats, but it was like tackling, passing, defending, everything was just on point. First, everything. Definitely one to watch out. I'm not sure, if he's FPL caliber, if he's gonna give you points day in day out, but just as a player in general, top class. Next up, we have Wolves, Fulham, nil nil. Just honestly, there's not much to say. Boring game. Pretty boring game. Wolves playing back for the season because Cody, of course, went to Everton, so they don't have the luxury of playing back three in the back three anymore. So Wolves are playing back for the season. Nathan Collins and Max Kilman were their center backs. Ruben Neves took the captain's armband. Moutinho was injured in a pre-game warm-up. And I think Jimenez is out for the whole month, if not longer. On the bench, highly regarded Portuguese forward Gonçalo Guedes. Apologies if I butchered that name. And of course, signed from Valencia, and of course, the beast, the absolute beast that is Adama Traore. He was also in the bench along with Nelson Semedo. Marco Silva, unchanged team with Fulham. Fulham's team is really, really good, really interesting because they have Tim Ream, who's their captain, plays left center back, and left wing Anthony Robinson, both of who are Americans. There you go. American soccer players, American ballers playing in the top flight of the Premier League. Really good stuff. Really good news. Bernd Leno was on the bench with Kevin Mbabu and Issa Diop. Issa Diop, not much of a baller, but he's a really good defender, signed from West Ham. But if you play FIFA at all, you know how good Mbabu is. I think he was at Wolfsburg? Could be wrong. Mbabu, baller, serious baller. They're highly regarded cam. Gibbs White missed a sitter. I think it was a cross, whipped in cross from the left side, Wolves left side. It was a whipped in cross from Wolves left side. Easy, like open post. He just misses it, like empty net, misses it. And Nottingham Forest actually signed this kid for 45 mil. Crazy, man, crazy. Of course, I'm not judging this kid just from one miss, but he's apparently a wonder kid, English wonder kid. But Jesus, talk about that English tax, man. Oof. Talk about that English tax. 45 million pounds. Yep. And then there was this tackle, which led to a penalty. Ait Nouri, lazy tackle on Di Cordova Reed. Mitrovic steps up, and you think it's a goal. Mitrovic with the form that he's had, and of course it was a good penalty, good power behind the ball, but he just too close to the keeper. Jose Sa. It's too good. Smashing penalty, but even better save. Bad game for Mitrovic, actually. I think he got a -1. He got a -3, I think, because he missed a penalty and then he had a yellow card. It's a really bad game in general. Got into scuffle with Gibbs White towards the end. He was just a blatant, just hacks him from the back. Sort of, another referee would have given a red card any other day. Then just gets into a kissing game with him. Not the first of the weekend. We'll get to that. Moving on. Southampton 2, Leeds United 2. Goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu and Romeo Lavia. Both were signed from Man City. They're playing for Southampton. Leeds, you have midfielder Tyler Adams. You have Brendan Aronson. Both have played for Jesse Marsh before. And it's just, it's so refreshing to see these American born and raised youngsters play in the EPL, the top flight of EPL. And, it's good. The future looks bright for the US, 100%. Other summer signings for Leeds were Mark Roja and Rasmus Christensen, both of whom also started. So the game, there was this interesting tackle. It was on Armstrong by Diego Llorente from Leeds, and this was like Armstrong was through on goal, 1-on-1. They get caught on the halfway line. Poor defending. Llorente's trying to catch up with Armstrong, and he pretty much goes through him. Like his leg takes his ankle out, Armstrong's ankle out, and then it hits the ball. Right? I mean, it went to VAR. The VAR said no penalty. VAR said nothing. VAR said carry on, proper tackle. But and then a lot of the commentators were actually agreeing with that, and like it was so blatant. It was such a foul. Like I don't understand. Like sure, if it happens in like a fluid motion, maybe it did happen in a fluid motion. When you do slow it down, it feels like, oh, he takes his ankle out and then he hits the ball, so it's not a foul. I sort of understand that argument, but you can't necessarily go through a player to then take the ball. That's where I stand. Like I mean, I'm a defender myself when I play. Um, but I feel like it wasn't even 50-50. It should have been a red card to Lorente. But the discussion here is the fact that I feel like VAR this season has been very they're letting a lot of stuff go this season, which is actually what Graham Sounds was talking about towards the end of Chelsea Spurs game. How VAR is being less lenient, or rather, sorry, more lenient, letting much more go this season. And you like to see that. You absolutely like to see that. And just so you people know, so VAR, the only two things that VAR can do is award a penalty or award a red card. That's it. So for this, this one, for instance, the reason it went to VAR was because, potential red card offense. The reason Marc Cucurella's one with Romero went to VAR was, again, potential red card. They couldn't have called a foul or called a penalty. That's not how that VAR works. I didn't know that myself. Good to know. That's what VAR is there. The final decision, of course, rests on the referee, in-game referee. He gets the final decision. Bamford got subbed out. 26 minutes. He was touching his groin. Didn't look good. It's Dan James came in for him once again. Like I just feel really bad for this kid. Just can't catch a break. Rodrigo scores pretty much at the beginning of the second half. Beautiful whipped in ball from Jack Harrison, and it's just he makes this run into the box, a deft flick into the goal. And this entire game, I was watching the game. This entire game, every time they had a corner, they were doing like the far post flick on to the back post, and I don't know why they weren't picking up on it. Like every single time Southampton, they had zero answers to their thing. Like they didn't know how to defend that. They just didn't know how to defend it, and that's how Rodrigo scores his second flick on from the near post. He's on the back post. Easy header, easy goal, free header pretty much. That happened 15 minutes after the first one. Just poor defending from Southampton. Joe Aribo got one back, but missed it. He almost missed it. He takes it past the keeper, and there was like three defenders on the line, and he somehow still like scuffs it in. Somehow gets it in. It's one of those goals. But yeah, he had good composure, pretty much, to at least get the ball onto the goal. So that was good. Gets past the keeper, finishes it. Walker Peters comes in clutch, levels it on the 80th minute. They actually had the momentum going into towards the end of the game, but Kyle Walker Peters is coming in clutch, man. Coming in clutch. Poor defending from Jack Harrison. He just switches off, and that's all she wrote. 2-2. Southampton coming back from 2 goals down. Interesting stuff. Next up, we have Brighton 0, Newcastle 0. Arguably the most boring game of the game week. Newcastle looked good. I mean, they have the new signings. They have Pope and they have Steve Botman start. Trippier is their captain now. He was wearing the captain's armband. Their top three looks really good. I think they play 4-3-3, right? Yeah. Top three looks really good. They have Almiron, they have Wilson, and of course they have Saint Maximin up top. But neither teams were clinical enough, so we just showed 0-0 Brighton Newcastle. Next game we're going to talk about is Aston Villa Everton. Aston Villa 2-1 winners to Everton. Good looking lineup again from Aston Villa. Watkins started this time with alongside Ings. Bailly was benched. Leon Bailly was benched. Cody started this time. For Everton, Iwobi, he's pretty much an established Everton center mid now. Even though he's been playing as an attacking cam for the majority of his career, even when he was at Arsenal, and for Nigeria as well, he plays like an attacking cam for them. But yeah, he's like an established midfielder. He plays alongside Doucouré in the middle of the pitch. Up top, you had Dwight McNeil, Gordon, and Gray, Damian Gray, up top for Everton. Ings scored the first one, long ball. I forget who it was. I think it was Gordon who got caught up top in the midfield, up top in the attacking half. For Everton, one long diagonal ball to Watkins. Watkins takes it down, drives into the penalty box, whipped in ball. Ings gets the ball, bad touch. He then does like a 180, and then his hunger for that goal. It just it was all him, his hunger. Left-footed finish, easy finish. Ings looked really good. So did Watkins. I think Watkins had 2 assists in that game. Both of the goals came from his assists. Second goal comes in towards the end of the game. It was Buendia. It was a 1-2 with Watkins. Once again, just poor defending from Everton. And it's 2-1 to Aston Villa. Villa's season is off and running. Another defeat for Everton. I know I said Everton might not be relegated this season. It's way too early to say, but things are not looking good. I mean, they are in the market to replace their striker. Well, not replace because they still have DLC, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But he's injured. He just got injured. I think preseason it was just a bad freak injury, and he's still injured. I don't know when his return date is. But they're in the market for a striker. They did, however, get a goal back. This was an own goal from Lucas Digne. It is what it is. Everton might struggle this season. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We have the last 2 games that we're gonna tackle. First one is Liverpool Crystal Palace 1-1. Interesting match. And the last one is, of course, Spurs Chelsea. Game of the game week. 100%. Liverpool Crystal Palace. Nunes starts. This is his first home debut, full game debut for Darwin Nunes. Palace played 5 at the back. Mark Guehi played for Crystal Palace. He was their player of the season last season. In terms of clearances, blocks, touches, and passes, club rank was first in the EPL last season for CP for Crystal Palace. 10 successive wins against Crystal Palace for Jurgen Klopp. So coming into the game, you already think like, okay, it's they only drew the game against Fulham. There's no way they're not winning. You know what I mean? They're 100% winning because I actually captain Salah for this game week. Bad idea. Matt Phillips started for Liverpool. They had so many injuries this week, it's really crazy. Matt Phillips started for Liverpool. He had a very successful loan last season with Bournemouth. Very successfully, actually. Helped Bournemouth come back into the Premier League. So get promotion into the Premier League. So good stuff. Matt Phillips gets the start. Game was pretty, one-sided. It was Liverpool dominating possession, trying to attack. Darwin Núñez pretty much got just bullied by Anderson, left, right, and center. And the goal just comes against the grain of play, against the run of play. That Zaha goal comes out of nowhere. I think it was a clearance from the keeper. Eze brings it down, first touch, does a shimmy. Not even a shimmy. He just cuts into his right, takes Fabinho out, like three touches, right? Puts it down, cuts into Fabinho. Third touch is a beautiful weighted ball. Um, Matt Phillips is flat-footed. Zaha with the perfectly timed run, and B90 opens his body up. B90, Allison, no chance. Just such a good goal. Such a freaking good goal. Eze looked really good. Eze was playing with a lot of confidence. Everything he did, his touches, his passes, his shots, really sharp, really good. Everything was on point for him. And in the second half, Darwin Núñez, arguably with one of the daftest reaction I've seen in the Premier League. I mean, there was a compilation of his interactions with Anderson throughout the entirety of the game, and Anderson is a really sharp guy. He's a really smart guy. He was like bumping into him. He was being physical with Darwin the entire freaking game. He was pushing him around. He was manhandling him, and they just came up to a boiling point. Right? It just came up to a boiling point, and then he just snapped. Kid just snapped. And it is what it is. I mean, I don't really, he's gonna learn from his mistakes. Not everybody's perfect. But I'm glad he's not. I mean, he got red carded because he's not gonna be for the match against Man United now for this game week 3. But also like he doesn't look as good as Haaland. Like there was this one attempt that he had second half, like through on goal, and he tries like this weird, very strange, like a left-footed finesse shot, and he just completely goes wide. And there was like a couple other shots that he took, just completely wild, like haphazard goal attempts. He doesn't look as clinical, you know what I mean, as Haaland does. Of course, the comparison has to be against Haaland because these were the two marquee signings for the Premier League for a lot of money. He just let his team down, straight and simple. But it's funny because as soon as he got red carded, the whole dynamic changed. Harvey Elliott was playing right back for Liverpool, and surprisingly enough, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he was playing as a second forward for Liverpool up top, and they just looked much better without Darwin. Um, but yeah, man. Man of the match, 100% has to be Luis Diaz. Like, oh my God, what a goal! What a freaking goal! He took on 6 players. He took on 6 players by himself, and that was his goal. Cuts in, nice foot, and then just finesse corner, bottom corner. Just such a good goal. Just save the point for Liverpool right there. Magic from the Colombian. And that was that. Final game we're going to talk. Let us talk Spurs versus Chelsea. Where to start? Home debuts for Sterling, Cucurella, and Koulibaly. Chilwell was not picked. He's still not 100%. Does not have the match sharpness, as told by Thomas Tuchel. No changes for Spurs yet again. Really surprising. Even when they're losing 1-0 the halftime, they did not make any. Conte did not make any changes. Wanting Fife to defend with aggressive wingback, says Tuchel on the pre-match conference. He's like, yeah, we typically play with 4 in the back against Spurs, but with the counter-attacking threat, we decided to play 5 in the back. He picked Ruben Loftus-Cheek on the right wing back as opposed to Cesar Azpilicueta. And rightly so. Loftus-Cheek has far more legs than him, far more speed, gets in the box more efficiently. So good, like tactically, that game was it was so engrossing, man. Like every time Son had the ball, every time Ken had the ball, Koulibaly, the wing backs just pushed up really high, really just converge of the space. They had time or like chance to like even like turn their heads around and just give that pass off. So Chelsea just they pretty much completely dominated that game. Like 70, they had what 70 over 70% possession the entirety of the game. Um, they weren't as clinical up top. I feel like that might be their kryptonite this season. Not having a dedicated striker up top. They did sell Lukaku. They sold Werner, which also like I was talking to one of my best friends, and he's like, I don't even understand. He's a lifelong Chelsea fan. He's like, dude, I don't understand why we had to sell Werner. And I agree. Like, you need at least somebody, right? I mean, I don't know how much time Broya is going to get. I get the feeling he might be loaned out in January. So we'll see. I genuinely think Broya, awesome forward, dangerous kid. I love him, but I just hope he gets more chances because I feel like he could do damage in this Chelsea team without a dedicated forward. I mean, there was this one chance Kai Havertz had. He should have buried that goal. I don't remember if it was. I think it was James. We used James with a cross, whips in second half. And it was just an empty net. He just I don't know. Ball just deflects off his foot. Should have been that goal. There's one like Spurs really didn't have a shot in the game. They had one shot, and that was his attempt from Kane, which came in like 60 minutes into the game, 1-on-1, and he just scuffs it wide. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like thinking, dude, you have one chance to score against this Chelsea team. You need to take that chance. Of course, Kane knows that. And at that point, I'm like, okay, GG, man, game over. There's no way you're. I mean, credit to Spurs though. Like I mean, they were in the game for a long time. Chelsea should have and would have, coulda, shoulda, woulda killed that game, but they just lacked that clinical ability, clinical prowess up top. There was this one attempt Sterling had. He was just empty net, blasted it off, just blasted it to the moon, and that should have been game over. Um, yeah, that Sterling attempt and Kane's miss on the 68th minute mark, they were like 30 seconds apart. Um, and then, of course, the goal comes from Spurs. Controversial, not really. Bentancur comes in, challenges Kai Havertz, and referee is right there. He has a different view as opposed, like he has the left-sided view as opposed to the right-sided view, which the camera had. And from his POV, Bentancur gets the ball. He gets a touch on the ball. Referee says, "Get up. Let's get on with the game." Goes to the other half in the penalty box. I don't know what Jorginho's thinking. He's doing this drag back inside his own penalty box, gets picked, and then passes it off. Hoiberg, easy goal. Side foots, easy goal. And like everybody's just up in arms. Like what the heck? There should have been the call over there. Da da da. But then you turn the camera around, you see that other view, and you clearly see that Bentancur gets part of Havertz's leg before he gets the ball. And like I said, that was similar tackle to the Leeds match where Llorente gets on Armstrong. I feel like VAR is letting a lot of stuff go this season. But also that tackle in itself entirely was like 50-50. It wasn't as bad as the Llorente one, in my opinion. Because I mean, you should not and you cannot bring that foul back so far back into the game, if that makes sense. Like that game like from the foul until the goal, so much had happened in between. There's no reason you should call that foul back right there, right? And on top of that, like Chelsea had every single opportunity to clear that ball away, to get rid of the ball. They didn't. So deserved goal from Spurs. Of course, Tuchel did not agree. He's like, after post match conference, he's like, both goals should not have stood. Da da da. And of course, Chelsea comes back. Pressure. They press the ball. They lose the ball. I forget who it was on the right side. They lose the ball. Koulibaly steps in. Good tackle. He steps in. They lose the ball, and then they're on the back foot. Son doesn't track Sterling back enough. Sterling gets the ball, and then beautifully weighted pass to Reece James. Reece James, easy side foot. GG, good goal. Thanks for coming. And at that point, it's game over. But of course, there was far more drama left in that match. But last kick of the game, the referee is directly looking at this play. He's directly looking at this corner. Romero, I don't know what he's doing. He's such a lucky kid. He is. I don't understand what this kid does. Like he plays so aggressive, and sometimes it just you don't need to be that aggressive. Like he literally pulls Mark Cucurella's hair, pulls him down to the ground. Don't know how the referee doesn't see it. Once again, it does go to VAR, but VAR comes in. They cannot award a foul there. They can only award a red card. But of course, the VAR referee, I forget who it was. Was it Mike Dean? He's like, hey, I looked at it, and it was a wrong call on my end. I did not think it was. I did not think it was a hard enough challenge to be awarded a card. So we just, we played on. That goal should not have stood? 100%. I totally agree. But once again, poor defending from Chelsea. I don't know what Koulibaly is doing. Like he leaves Thiago Silva up 1v3, Kane, Son, and somebody else, and Kane just gets a free header, and he's on the back post, and for absolutely no reason, could have been avoided, but of course it should not have gone that far. And 2-all. But of course, drama does not end there because at the end of the game, the best part was yet to come. At the end of the game, both coaches go for a handshake, and of course there was some built up animosity beforehand because when Spurs equalized, the problem with old Stamford Bridge is like the dugouts for both teams are like so close to each other. Like Conte, when he started celebrating, he sort of like his celebration sort of like spilled into Chelsea's dugout, and they did not take that lightly, and that's pretty much where it started. Tuchel did not like it. They were going back and forth, going against the referee, like, yo, what the heck, da da da. And then they score. Immediately afterwards, Chelsea scored their second goal, and Tuchel just loses it. He just makes this dash, like just old school Mourinho style, dash it like all the way to the corner post, and he's just smiling, he's laughing, and you see Conte just with his head down, in a pensive mood. And afterwards, after the game, he on his Instagram he said, "You're lucky I didn't see you because I would have stuck a leg out at you. I would have tripped you. That it would have been deserved." I love that guy. So yeah, so that's how sort of like the feud started, and then at the end of the game they go for the handshake, and Tuchel is not happy. Tuchel is like, he holds onto Conte's hand for far too long, and they're like in this weird, like very awkward, like, yo, let go of my hand, and Tuchel's like, oh, I thought he was doing this gesture. He's like, look into my eyes, look into my face when you're shaking my hands, and Conte just loses it. Then get into a scuffle. They get into another kissing fight. The both teams from the both dugouts of the teams have to come in and they separate them physically. I think of course both coaches got red carded. I think Conte got fined 15,000 pounds, and Tuchel was fined 35,000 pounds. Yikes, man. So yeah, it's amazing. I freaking loved it, man. If you watch the Premier League this season, you're in for for a ride. For a ride. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait for game week 3 to start tomorrow. We have quite a few games, least of which is of course the Man United versus Liverpool game. Can't wait to see how bad of a thrashing this happens to be. I wonder if Casemiro will be ready to start that game. Um, but yeah, exciting stuff, exciting times. Thank you again. Thank you again for tuning in. This was a review for Game Week 2. And I'll see you next week. Take care, guys. Peace.